that down and open that up. All right. Do 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 do. There we are. All right, that is the wrong test. All right. So, let's go back to the start, which is especially going to be weird with our 101 class after we've been doing like mercantilism and stuff going back to freaking the Stone Age for a little while. Okay. All right, so let's what do I have for I shouldn't have stapled it. Actually, you know what? Now I remember why I don't staple my keys. I'm usually slightly more put together than this. Here we are. Great. All right. I should maybe space that out a little bit more before I print them out for you guys. Let's start. So, the way we view history today, based on current events, is called what? The historical lens. Very good. This is all up in my face. All right. What does prehistory literally mean? Before writing. Prehistory literally means before writing. I guess probably maybe technically before a written record, but we're just going to go with before writing. All right. In the early cave paintings in France from about 35,000 to 15,000 years ago, what was the most important to the artist? What aspect of the painting was typically most important? Yes, the animals. So typically what they were hunting was the most important because that was what everything revolved around. Okay, what came first, humans settling down or the domestication of animals? Were animals domesticated first, or did humans?
Animals domesticated first. That's why they have to stay in one place.
Right. Domestication came first. All right. Give me a name for one of the megalithic structures we talked about during the Mesolithic age. We've got Skara Brae. That was the really neat village that they've got up in the Orkney Islands up in Scotland. And you've also got, like, Stonehenge is the most famous one. Probably a few more if you can think of them, but those are really the main ones I talked about. I can actually think of a bunch that we never talked about just because I've been over in Ireland and they've got a bunch of them over there. But we didn't go into all that. Okay. Let me see. Which of these comes first? Yeah. So on to Mesopotamia. Let me just go ahead and name one of the rivers the Mesopotamian cities depended on in order to survive. Because remember, these early civilizations tended to depend on rivers. Rivers, bleh. Mesopotamia has got two major rivers. Just give me one of them. Yeah, Tigris and Euphrates. I'll just go ahead and say, as far as spelling, you don't need to worry so much about Euphrates. Tigris, I'd like you to get close because in chapter 4 we have a river that's pretty close to that, and therefore if you accidentally spell the river like this other river, you're giving me a completely different answer. So Tigris isn't that hard to spell. And I could go ahead and give you that other river that we'll talk about in the future, but I know that if I do that, some people might get confused, so we're not going to do that at all. Just remember Tigris. Okay. What came first, writing or like letters or numbers?
Numbers?
Yes, numbers came first. When it came to Mesopotamian writing, numbers came first. Because remember, the oldest example of writing we have is like a receipt, which is pretty wild. That said, the oldest example of writing we have, like letters, is actually a complaint about subpar bronze, which is amazing. So, all that said, what was the name of Mesopotamian writing? It comes from the Greek word meaning wedge. Yes, cuneiform. Okay, we got a couple more Mesopotamian things, and then we got a... Oh, wait. Actually, that's it for that, because the next part is more Mesopotamia, but it's more specifically the cities. Got ahead of myself. All right. Pretty sure I did this last year where I had everything up under that, and then I went down and was like, oh, these are supposed to be the next one. Okay. So, among Mesopotamian cities, some men rose to prominence to rule over multiple cities. These weren't kings in the modern sense, but these were called what? what was this term, this Mesopotamian term of like people that ruled over multiple cities, and this was the closest to king that they really had. No, those were the ones that typically ruled over a single city. This was someone that ruled over multiple. You're almost there. It's just yes, I would say y'all were almost there. The Lugal, yeah. The Lugal. Yeah, the Lugal was kind of the equivalent of a lord. So yeah, y'all were in the right ballpark. Yeah, the Lugals. Which clearly Microsoft Word doesn't like. This one, Microsoft Word hopefully should understand exists. Who was the great ruler who unified most of Mesopotamia through force? This is Mesopotamia still. Alexander's in chapter 3.
Is it Zargon the Great?
Yes, Sargon. Yeah, see, Microsoft Word knows Sargon. Yeah, remember that this is all like chronological, so this is all very early on. One more. One of the earliest law codes we have recovered, which was quite brutal in its reparations, was called the Code of what? So this was the, if you steal something, your hand gets cut off. And there were a lot of offenses that were just, we put you to death. And this was the other one. This was specifically the Code of who? Yes. Code of Hammurabi. Excuse me. Yeah, Ur-Nammu is actually a little bit earlier, but it was like you pay fines and stuff. The Code of Hammurabi is considered a bit more it's considered more modern in the way that it was done, because it was like it's court decisions and then they just write it down and that's used later. So that's considered more of a law code than what Ur-Nammu's was. Okay. That's it for Mesopotamia. We've got a lot for Egypt. So let's start. Oops. With the river that Egypt depended on in order to survive. What river is Egypt situated on? The Nile River. All right. Where was Lower Egypt situated? To the north or to the south? Or how was Lower Egypt situated along the Nile River? Like, was it north, where the river came from, or was it south, where the river emptied into the Mediterranean? No, sorry. South, where the river came from, or north, where it emptied the Mediterranean?
North?
Yep, Lower Egypt was to the north. Lower Egypt Because for them, north and south didn't matter. They were focused on the river where everything, all of the life came from. So where the river spread into the delta and emptied into the Mediterranean, that was the lower part of the river, so that was Lower Egypt. All right. Let's see, what do we have? All right, wow. So this is just all Egypt until we get to the next groups. Okay. I don't actually have that much Egypt. What was the name for the Egyptian form of writing? Or at least their
Hieroglyphs?
holy writing. Yeah, hieroglyphs. You don't need to know how to spell this one. Wait, I think I misspelled it. How do you spell it, Microsoft Word? Okay. Who united Upper and Lower Egypt? There's a couple of... Oh, no, we don't actually talk about the other guy? Okay, well. This is the only important Egyptian rule you guys have to know, I guess. He united Upper and Lower Egypt into the first Egyptian dynasty. I guess the old dynasty? Early dynastic period, yeah.
Narmer?
Hmm?
Narmer?
Yes, Narmer. Narmer united Upper and Lower Egypt to create what would stick around for, I mean, technically until now. I mean, it's not a dynastic system, but it's still Egypt. All right. And a little bit on Egyptian religion. During the Middle Kingdom, when even rich commoners could be mummified and passed through to the other world, what divine mummy god became more prominent? Who was the divine mummy who became prominent during the Middle Kingdom? Osiris. Poor Osiris, he was a punching bag for the other gods. All right. So let's move on to the next section. Oops, did that again. All right. What war was memorialized in Homer's Iliad? So what war is being remembered in the Iliad? Yeah, the Trojan War. Again, if you had like taken Greek, you would consider that almost an insulting question, because it'd be like, what war is being remembered in the story of Troy? Let's see. Which group of people were the first to manufacture iron? This was a major group in the Old Testament. Like a major antagonist group in the Old Testament.
Hebrews?
Hmm?
Hebrews?
No, antagonist.
Egypt?
Not the Egyptians.
Israel?
No. Well, we'll get to them a little bit later. The first, they were a very warlike group. Manufactured iron. It took like 1,000 years for everybody else to get on board.
Mentioned one where Hashtag was who?
No, that's it. This should be after that. No, not the Minoans. The Minoans were the Greeks. It should be in there.
It says they, in the Iron Age, are the Minoans and Mycenaean Greeks.
Hmm. Where do I? Here we go.
No one knows the rest of it. I don't know where it is.
The Hittites. Oops. I mean, you were one page off. But yes, I apologize that the title did kind of throw that off, didn't it? Yes, so the Hittites were the first to actually manufacture iron and did begin to push the region towards an Iron Age. What group were known as the Purple People due to the red dye they created and traded? The Phoenicians. And they, of course, also used a type of script that would later be used by the Greeks, and then that will be absorbed by the Romans, and that's the whole thing. But anyway, they were the Purple People. And finally, what was the not-so-creative name for the mysterious marauders who crippled empires around the Mediterranean? This group that just kind of showed up and broke everything and then left. We don't know much about them. The Sea People. They probably weren't like a single group. It was probably just like a bunch of different marauders from different ethnicities and whatnot that just like struck out and burned stuff. But we don't know. We just don't know. All right, so for religion, these things were brought up under the Hebrews because they had a number of, these things. What is the name for a religion that accepts only one God? Monotheistic, or monotheism. But also, what is the name for a religion that allows for other lesser gods but puts one above the rest? This isn't polytheism. Because polytheism has like multiple gods, and while they may have, say, a chief god, they still like revere the other gods. This is like where one god is above everybody else, and the other ones sort of exist, but you're not really supposed to honor them, but they're still around.
Henotheism?
Yes, henotheism. Yeah, Judaism was originally a henotheistic religion. That's why a lot of the early Old Testament texts, if you look at the verbiage, it implies other gods, or at least like other divine beings as being around, but like we don't really talk about them. Yeah. Like for example, the first of the Ten Commandments, have no other gods before me. Like that's used today in much different contexts, but back then it was very specific. Of like, don't worship other gods because there's other gods that are being worshipped. Because Yahweh was like specifically from a pantheon in the Canaanite region. All right. I think that's it. Oh. Didn't actually write that down. Let's move to Greece. All right. Okay, Homer. What did he write? What is he credited for writing, I should say, because again, we're not totally sure if he even really existed, but for the sake of simplicity, what was Homer credited with writing? Yes, the Iliad and the Odyssey. And O-D minus what? How did I spell Iliad wrong? Is there only one L? It is only one L. Oh, I spelled it right on the test. Whatever. There isn't a great deal of stuff I can really go into with Homer. Just remember what Homer did. Okay. All right, there's a lot of Greek terms coming up, so be ready for that. What was the... Let's see. Oh, yeah, it's just a lot of... All right. What was the name for a Greek city-state? What was the Greek term for a Greek city-state? Polis. Which, again, I mean, we even see today, like, used in English words, like metropolis. That's why that's there. As part of a polis, what was the high defensive area in a Greek city-state? What was that? The high part where the temple typically was. All these Greek things are multiple choice, by the way. The question was the high defensive area in a Greek city-state, where they usually had the temple and other important structures. And again, if you break down the meanings of the base words, it helps out.
This is from chapter 2 notes, right?
Mm-hmm. So this is the high part of the polis.
What was the question again?
The high section in a polis.
High section of the
Mm-hmm. High defensive area.
Are you talking about the Acropolis?
Yes, the Acropolis.
The Acropolis?
Yeah. Which, by the way, Acropolis, acrobat, means high, and again, polis means city. It's the high part of the city. Again, we get a lot of our words from Greek. Another Greek word here, the marketplace, the big wide open area in the Greek city-state.
The Agora?
The agora. And again, we have a word that uses this. Agoraphobia, which is the fear of being outside, or the fear of wide open spaces, because an agora was this wide open market in a city. So Acropolis, this high place, agora, open place. All right, on to the Olympic Games. The Olympic Games were created to honor which Greek god? I mean, considering, yeah. I was going to say, yeah, there's a lot of Greek gods, but it's usually Zeus. All right. All right, so here's two words that I can't really do much with as far as Greek. The idea of individual excellence, most often invoked at the Olympic Games.
The A-R-E-T-E?
Yeah, arete. I'm assuming that's how it's pronounced. It's Greek, not French. If it was French, it'd be like, you wouldn't even pronounce half of it. I don't even know. I don't, freaking French. And then the other, the word that describes that life is a constant struggle or competition.
Agon?
Yes. Agon, again, it's Greek, so who knows? These two you just kind of need to remember. Again, it's multiple choice. Just remember these two are the Greek games ones. Bless you. Here's another one that is a root for a word we use. What word basically means masses or the people, was used to describe those living outside the walls of a city-state but still part of the political structure. So this was the masses or the people. They were the ones typically beyond a city, but were still part of the city. Say that again? Demos. Very good. You can see where we use that. That's literally where we get democracy. It's a government of the people. That word literally means the people. and democracy is the government of the people. So, yeah. All right, one more, and this one I can't really do much with either, but it's a term for the soldier that fought in a phalanx. That fought in the phalanx? Hoplite. Yeah, that fought in the phalanx formation. We talked about how since they were using formation warfare, that meant that a lot more regular people were fighting in wars now. So they were able to get the right to vote. So the hoplites were fighting in the phalanx formation. And that was the shield walls and stuff. Okay. Boy, we've got battles. Let's go to Persia. What was the name of the battle in the first Persian invasion where the outnumbered Athenian army all but single-handedly defeated the Persian invasion? This is technically a Greek word, but it's one we use a lot in English to the point that it doesn't sound Greek. It was called the First Persian War. It was just like a single battle. The Persians rolled in, and the Athenians defeated them. What was the name of the battle? And again, it's a word that we use in English a lot.
Is this in chapter 2 or chapter 3?
This is still chapter 2.
Still chapter 2?
Yeah, this is probably about halfway through chapter 2 at this point.
You said the name of the war?
The name of the battle of the first Persian invasion. There was only one battle.
The Battle of Marathon?
Battle of Marathon. Yep. Like I said, it's a word we use so often it doesn't feel Greek anymore. It was a Battle of Marathon. Because like I told you guys, at the end of the battle, supposedly a messenger ran all the way back to Athens, all the way up to the Acropolis, told the city of the victory, and then died on the spot from exhaustion. And then that distance between the battlefield and Athens became like the standard distance of a marathon. Because everybody loves just telling Athens how great it is. All right. Okay, this is I'm getting confused. Okay. After Darius died, which was the one who led the battle, well, he didn't lead the Battle of Marathon, but he was the one who directed the invasion. What was the name of his son who led the second invasion of Greece at the head of a 300,000-man army?
Cambyses?
No.
Xerxes?
Xerxes.
Xerxes.
I know who you're talking about though, but no, that's a different direction. No, that was like Darius's father, I think. Yeah, the only one you need to know is Xerxes. Like Darius was the king during the Battle of Marathon, and then he died, and they had to do some stuff, and then his son Xerxes started the second invasion. Okay. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. What was the number of Spartans who made the famous last stand at the Battle of Thermopylae? Pretty sure I went over that. I mean, I talked about the last stand. I think I said how many were supposed to be there. Or maybe I didn't. Uh-oh. I mean, they made a movie about it, which was horribly inaccurate, but... The Battle of Thermopylae was at the very beginning of the second invasion. Did it say? Surely it said. Yeah.
It wasn't 10,000, right?
No. It was far fewer than that. It was a
300?
yes. It was a force of 300 Spartans against 300,000 Persians. Now, to be fair, they were like in a place where you could only fight so many Persians at a time, but yeah, they did eventually get overrun. I think it was the Battle of Marathon was 10,000 Athenians against like something like 30,000 Persians. Or no, it was like 80,000 Persians. It was a lot of Persians, but they were able to win that battle as well. But it was nowhere near this amount of being outnumbered. Boo-da-doo-doo. Do I have this? Okay, I'm just going to throw this in here because I don't have anywhere else to put it. And since we're talking about Sparta, here it is. Yeah. What was the name of the agricultural slaves used by Spartans? Good enough. That's fine. Helots. All right. So, after finally pushing back Persia, Greece decided that it was tired of not fighting itself, so it proceeded to fight itself. What was the name of the league formed under Sparta, which was used in the war against Athens?
Peloponnesian League?
Yeah, the Peloponnesian League. Be sure I'm spelling that right. O-N-N-E-S-I-A-N. Also, you don't need to worry about spelling that one. It's multiple choice. In response, well, not in response. Well, no, the Peloponnesian League did come first. What was the name of the league formed around Athens after the Persian Wars and was used against Sparta in said conflict? So what league did Athens have before it became a full-blown empire? Because remember, it was technically centered around a different city. On paper, anyway.
Delian League?
Yes, the Delian League. Delian League. All right. And again, this just kind of goes in here because I don't have anywhere else to put it. The name of the in-between city that Sparta and Athens often sought to ally with in their many struggles.
What is the island that is
it was on an isthmus, but that's a geographical term. What was the name of the city on the isthmus?
Ione?
No, that was a region in where Persia was coming in. No, the city name didn't start with an I. Let me say that again. Yes, good. Corinth. Okay, one more, and then we can go to Alexander the Great. You guys have a year to remember. A single year. What? What was the year that the Athenian Empire fell, which also spelled the end of the golden age of Athens? See if they can answer. You guys know what the year is?
500 BC.
No. You're at least within 100 years.
448 BC?
What?
448 BC.
No. They're closer, though.
Was that it?
You were right. No.
What was the question?
It was the year that the Athenian Empire fell. It was the end of the Peloponnesian War. Nope. We are at least getting closer.
It's not 421, right?
No.
430.
No.
No, you already said 430.
Yes, tell her where to look.
Again.
The year.
Well, I can't, your PowerPoints in Blackboard, I tried to download them and it will only there's the pictures in front of them, so I have to go through the videos.
You can't.
You can do it with pictures. I can't, I don't have PowerPoint. I can just click on them and then select it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Didn't you have the install editing? I don't think it really shows.
Four.
404. Also, please put BC or BCE, whichever you prefer, until we pass into AD/CE. Especially once we start getting close to the line, you need to make sure you put the differentiation because it will be important. And once we get past it, it won't really matter when it's, when we're getting to the 1400s. That's not really, it won't really matter anymore. But yeah. So this is your one date for the book, for the test. And as I said, that used to be a computer error message, so I thought it was funny, but apparently that is also aged and it doesn't matter anymore. All right, on to the Hellenistic Age. Golden Age of Athens. We're on chapter 3 now.
You promised to be more prepared next study guide.
I get it. It's fine. I mean, I'm glad y'all are at least here in my class. Let's see. Okay. What was the name of the Macedonian man who became king and led his armies down to unite Greece? Who was the guy who initially united Greece by force?
Philip.
What's that?
Maybe Philip?
Yes, Philip. Because remember, it was not Alexander from the start. Philip did a lot on his own before he, kicked the bucket. Speaking of which, what was the name of the battle where a united Greek force was defeated soundly by the Macedonian army, ushering in the Hellenistic age? So this was the big battle I told you guys was probably really important, where Philip and his army defeated a united Greek army. Is it cold in here? You're probably pronouncing it better than me. I say Chaeronea, but it's probably, it might as well be. Chaeronea, I don't know. It's this one. Chaeronea. Yeah. Hey, look, Microsoft Word doesn't hate it. The Battle of Chaeronea. Oop. All right. We're going to briefly go over some of the great thinkers of the day. Two of them. Who's the classical thinker? Oop. Oh, yeah, okay. Who's a classical thinker whose method of teaching was to ask questions and get the answers from his students? And who is often considered kind of a pain in the butt to deal with? Socrates. I will complain about historical inaccuracies in Assassin's Creed all day long, but they made Socrates a pain in the ass. So they did that really well. He was a pain to deal with, and I applaud them for that. Who was the great mind who synthesized both sides of an argument to come up with a resolution? Sure, I got that one right. It was also Socrates' a student. Yeah. It was Plato. Oop, make sure I write that down so when I go to grade everybody's test, I can have it. Do I not even have... Wait. Oh yeah, I don't even bother asking about Alexander the Great because, it's not even worth asking. All right. So, some stuff that Alexander did. After Philip dies, and Alexander invades Persia, how did he solve the Gordian knot? And I know I talked about that. cut it with his sword. Cut it with his sword. Which, again, like people there were, oh, what are you doing? Oh, I don't actually go into the battle. No, I don't. Some of this I cut out due to moving things around, so I don't actually talk about. Oh, no. Apparently, Caronia is supposed to be down here. Well, don't worry about it. What was the name of the city founded by Alexander in Egypt, which became a cultural and commercial center in the ancient world? And we actually have a number of those here in America as well. Not cultural and commercial centers, but like cities with this name. Because, Alexander's so humble.
Wait, what was the name?
The name of the city that he founded. What city, what would Alexander name a city that he built?
Alexandria?
Yes. I mean, obviously, again, this is the Alexandria in Egypt, which became like this major, super important city, et cetera, et cetera. That's actually it for that section. Let's discuss the 3 rulers of the 3 sections of what was left of Alexander's empire. So, after Alexander died, who ended up ruling the kingdom of Greater Greece?
These governors.
Well, there was one major dude. Yeah, the one-eyed dude. I probably am not spelling it right. No, I am. Antigonus. One-eyed. Again, multiple choice. He's the only one up there with one eye. Who had the reins of the Egyptian portion of Alexander's conquest? Remember, this would really shape Egypt for the next, really, 300 years.
Ptolemy?
Yes. Ptolemy. O-L-E-N-Y. Ptolemy the First. Which, again, just made like a Ptolemaic dynasty. And then, this is a fun one to say, who got their hands on what was formerly the Persian Empire, which is to say just kind of like everything else. It was like Persia and then like a bunch of other little bits and pieces. Who got the expanded area that was formerly the Persian Empire? Like, who was the third guy that got the rest of it? Yeah, Seleucus the First. Did I actually spell that right? I did. Okay. Oh. All right, 2 more questions and we'll be done. I don't know how to ask this. how did, okay, this is, I guess I can put it this way. How did Hellenistic art compare to, like, say, classical Greek or, especially Athenian art, and how it depicted the human form?
Embraced humanistic,
Mm-hmm.
Hellenistic purpose.
Yes. Hellenistic art was vibrant and unique. Not mathematically perfect. Whoops. If I can hit the right letters. Yeah, because there was this weird, like, mathematical perfection to Athenian art, which is to say, physically impossible for a human body to be. And you actually see that with later, like, Roman and even Renaissance art. Like, they'll do this mathematical perfection for a while, and then they'll eventually go into the later Hellenistic art, and it's like, oh, wait, but what if we can do this, like, really impressive stuff that looks like it's a person that is just made out of stone? Okay, one more. And this is really what we've been going through the entire chapter. What is the term used to describe the spread of Greek language and, by extension, culture, thanks to the expansion of Alexander's empire?
Hellenistic.
That's Greek-like, but what is the spread of the Greek culture? What is if if Hellenic is Greek, Hellenistic is Greek-like, what is the word for making Greek? Should be right at the end of the chapter. I think. Yeah, because I was saying the spread of the language and, by extension, the culture. Oh no, it's before the art. I'm sorry. And also before the philosophy that I just completely skipped over that's not on the test. I made a mistake. It's not at the very end. It's, yeah, it's that. I didn't really. Yeah, it's the. Yeah, in fact, I did just copy that from the notes. It's a term used to describe the spread of the Greek language and by extension culture, thanks to the expansion of the Alexander's empire. So again, with the root word Hellen, which is Greek, Hellenization, to make Greek. This is something, before I let you guys go, if you take a lot of biology courses, you will learn a lot of Latin, because so much like classification in biology is Latin. So you learn, which again, this doesn't really apply to Greek, but especially once we get into Rome, you're going to learn a lot of Latin. You will see like base words and, suffixes and stuff. And once you just get an idea of what these words mean, you can start to just like piece them together and get a basic idea of what stuff is. I'm not good with foreign languages at all, but once you can get a basic, just like, I guess the best way I could put it is just like Lego idea of just how to fit words together, it works. And again, we're basically done with Greece at this point. Literally the next chapter is Rome. But that to me is how I'm able to remember a lot of this stuff. It's just like, if Hellenic is Greek, Hellenistic is Greek-like, Hellenization is to make Greek. So that sort of stuff. Because if you just look at that in, by itself and you don't know what any of that means, it's just a big, scary word. But yeah. And like I was, telling you guys with some of these earlier words, where are we at? Yeah, polis, we've got that in our words today, metropolis, acrobat, it means, high, and again, acropolis is just the high part of a city. Agoraphobia, the fear of an open area, so that's an open place in the city. These are the things I can't really help you with. But demos, again, the democracy is the government of the people, and demos is the people. So that's relatively easy. So yeah, and actually when we get to the Latin words you guys are going to need to remember, most of them are things that's going to be like, this is Latin? These are words we use. It's just a little bit, it's just like the end of the word's a little bit weird. But like literally one of the words that I'm going to show you guys is inauguratio. And it's like, it's like making a king official, essentially. It's literally an inauguration. So, yeah. So we'll get to that after the test. So I'll see you guys on Monday, and I'll hand you through the test, and I'll put the test up on Blackboard for everybody else. For you guys, if I'm not able to make it so you guys don't see the test, just don't worry about it, obviously. And I'll get everybody's stuff graded as soon as I can. So yeah, that's